You hear that rumble? That's not a storm. That's the sound of Jerry Jones cracking open the vault and threatening to flip the NFL into a marketing circus under the Texas sun. Again. Because if the whispers are true, and let's be real with Jerry, there's always a little truth behind the smoke, then the Dallas Cowboys aren't just exploring a trade for Shedeur Sanders. They're orchestrating a secret, legacy-defining, reality-warping move to land the most electric rookie in the league. This is more than just football. This is an NFL drama opera in the making. Let's set the scene. The Cleveland Browns are quietly combusting behind the scenes.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Tensions are rising over Shedeur's rapid rise, the hype machine is running hotter than a Texas July, and management can't seem to agree on whether they're grooming a franchise quarterback or managing a walking brand deal. And from the shadows, Jerry Jones is watching, plotting, possibly dialing burner phones from the yacht. Because Jerry isn't just looking for a quarterback. He's looking for an empire maker. Someone who can do for the Cowboys what Tony Romo never could. What Dak Prescott hasn't yet. What nobody since Aikman did. Bring a Super Bowl and a brand explosion to America's team. And Shedeur? He's the holy grail of both. Let's not downplay what this would mean. This wouldn't be a trade, it'd be a tectonic shift in the NFL power structure. This is Jerry Jones looking at the future of his billion-dollar brand and saying, let's blow up the league to protect the star on the helmet. So now the rumors are flying like wild passes in a preseason shootout. Word is, Jerry has already sent feelers through quiet back channels. Not the usual front office politeness. Not the standard GM to GM email chain. No, we're talking stealth mode. Think strategic leaks, plausible deniability, maybe a few phone calls that mysteriously never happened. Jerry's been in this game too long to leave fingerprints. And what's he dangling? Multiple first-round picks. Veteran assets. Maybe even a you-name-it clause that includes half of Frisco, Texas and naming rights to his next yacht. Just bold. It's brash. It's pure Jerry. But of course this raises one very real, very messy question. Would Cleveland actually let Shedeur go? Under normal circumstances? Absolutely not. You don't trade a rookie QB with a $250 million jersey empire, a Nike war chest behind him, and the power to mobilize an entire generation with a single tweet. But these aren't normal circumstances. Because inside the Browns building, things are tense. The coaching staff wants to focus on player development and schematics. Ownership? They're drooling over Shedeur's commercial magnetism. It's like half the organization thinks they drafted a quarterback, and the other half thinks they just acquired a media conglomerate. And caught in the middle is a 22-year-old trying to read defenses, manage endorsements, and stay unbothered while the entire sports world debates his future like it's a streaming rights auction. Shedeur's camp? Silent, strategic, professional. But don't be fooled, sources say there's curiosity. After all, the Cowboys aren't just any team. They're a marketing juggernaut, a platform, a brand. And when you're Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback with influence baked into your DNA, the idea of pairing with Jerry Jones under the biggest spotlight in sports, you have to listen. And we haven't even mentioned the wild card, Dion. Coach Prime isn't just Shedeur's dad. He's the architect of this entire movement. You don't think Jerry's picking up the phone and talking to the man who once owned the Cowboys secondary in the 90s? You don't think there's already a hypothetical chat happening about building the next Prime dynasty in Dallas? You're dreaming if you think Dion doesn't have a seat at this chessboard. So now the NFL's quietly panicking. Because if this move happens, if Shedeur becomes a Cowboy, it changes everything. We're not just talking about on-field implications. This is economics, sponsorships, global expansion. Shedeur in a Cowboys uniform isn't just ratings gold, it's a marketing nuke. Nike would have a field day. Merch would shatter records. Social media engagement would hit Super Bowl levels before Week 3. And Jerry? He's banking on it. Because this isn't just about replacing Dak. It's about rewriting the Cowboys' entire future. And if we're being honest, the Dak situation? It's been simmering for years. Solid performances. Good guy. But let's not pretend Jerry hasn't been craving something bigger. Something flashier. Someone who can sell jerseys and scramble on third down. Shedeur is that guy. He's the unicorn. Young, charismatic, business-savvy, and, oh yeah, a damn good quarterback when the lights are on. He doesn't just fit the Cowboys brand. He amplifies it. And that's where this gets scary. Because if this deal happens, every other franchise will have to reckon with a new blueprint. You want the next big quarterback? It's not about arm talent alone. It's about revenue potential, social capital, cultural influence. Welcome to the influencer era of the NFL. Traditionalists will hate it. Analysts will foam at the mouth. Twitter will melt into a puddle of GOAT memes and conspiracy threats. But that's the reality Jerry's trying to buy into. And if you think the league isn't concerned about tampering, think again. The NFL is watching. Oh, they're watching hard. The back-channel chatter, the meetings that may or may not exist, the lines being tiptoed, this is textbook gray area. And Jerry Jones has been walking that line for decades with a cowboy grin and an army of lawyers behind him. But even he knows this one's different. If this trade goes through, the league will face pressure like never before. Calls for new rules. Revisions to rookie contract protections. Tampering investigations that make Deflategate look like a casual misunderstanding. Because this wouldn't just be a player swap. It would be a hostile takeover of the NFL's old guard by a marketing-first model that values brand over ball control. And let's not forget, Cleveland still holds the keys. For now. They can refuse. They can dig in, commit to Shedeur, and double down on developing the most fascinating rookie in years. But that's not so simple when you've got ownership drooling over sponsorship forecasts and a locker room wondering if their QB is more interested in ESPN features than fourth down drills. It's a powder keg. And Jerry's standing there, match in hand, smiling. So what happens next? If the Browns cave, and let's be honest, with this kind of internal division it's possible, Jerry will have pulled off the biggest trade since Herschel Walker. But this time? It won't destroy the Cowboys. It might actually resurrect them. But if the Browns hold the line? If they tell Jerry to go play billionaire fantasy football somewhere else? The saga only grows louder. The tension thickens. And Shedeur stays right where he is, for now. But make no mistake. The move has already changed the NFL landscape. Teams are now factoring in marketability in ways they never did before. Rookie quarterbacks will start demanding not just guarantees but equity. General managers are panicking. Brand execs are lurking. And Shedeur Sanders? He's sitting at the center of it all. Calm, collected, dangerous. The ball's in Cleveland's court. But Jerry's already halfway down the field. With $1 billion offer. And just enough swagger to believe he can actually pull it off. So what do you think? Is Shedeur Sanders destined to wear the star and become the most famous Cowboy since Emmitt Smith? Or is this just another Jerry fever dream wrapped in custom boots and marketing buzz? Drop your thoughts in the comments, yell at each other like true sports fans, and hit that subscribe button, because if this deal goes through, we're not watching a trade. We're watching a hostile rebranding of the NFL in real time. And Jerry Jones? He's holding the pen. This is a power play. A full-blown, star-spangled, oil money-fueled coup d'etat of the NFL status quo, and Jerry Jones is staging it from the top floor of AT&T Stadium, sipping something expensive while plotting the most outrageous quarterback heist in recent memory. And the target? Shedeur Sanders. A rookie. Let that sink in. A fifth-round rookie has the owner of America's team quietly working back channels like a Netflix villain. We're talking whispered meetings in private suites, agents pretending they're just checking in, and executives who suddenly can't confirm nor deny anything. If you listen close enough, you can almost hear the fax machines humming with forged denials. This isn't football politics. This is Game of Thrones with shoulder pads. Because here's the reality Jerry sees: Dak Prescott is not the future. He's serviceable. A leader. A professional. But for years it's been the same story. Flashes of brilliance, postseason heartbreak, rinse, repeat. And now, the fan base is restless. The team's branding has outpaced its success. The Cowboys still look like champions, they just don't play like them in January. So Jerry, ever the empire builder, is staring down his legacy and thinking, what if I make one more insane move? One that brings in not just a quarterback but a phenomenon. Because Shedeur isn't just balling out, he's becoming bigger than the game. He's already got half the league's future fans in his DMs. Every time he steps on the field, the camera practically autofocuses. And every time he posts, the internet trembles. This isn't hype anymore. This is gravitational pull. And Jerry? He wants that orbit under the Dallas Star. Let's not forget, Jerry thrives in chaos. He's not scared of big swings. This is the guy who drafted Dez Bryant when everyone said don't. The guy who hired Barry Switzer after firing Jimmy Johnson in the middle of a dynasty. The man who paid $1.2 billion for a stadium that looks like a spaceport designed by a Bond villain. You think tampering is going to stop him? Please. The NFL's rulebook is more like a suggestion pamphlet when Jerry's involved. If he thinks he can swing a trade that turns Shedeur into the face of the Cowboys and the future of the league, he'll find a way to do it, rules be damned. But this isn't a one-sided dream. Don't kid yourself, Shedeur's people are watching very closely. They know exactly what the Cowboys represent. The exposure, the influence, the control over narrative. He wouldn't just be the quarterback, he'd be the show. Every Monday morning would start with his highlights. Every primetime slot, his spotlight. Nike would start printing gold thread jerseys before the ink on the trade paperwork dried. And you don't think Dion, Coach Prime, the man who makes it happen, isn't eyeing this as the move of moves? Let's not be naive. Dion loves a story, a spectacle. And the idea of his son leading the most polarizing team in sports while also building a billion-dollar off-field brand? That's not a distraction. That's mission accomplished. Dion doesn't just raise athletes. He builds icons. And in Dallas, icons get statues. Now here's where the drama gets even messier. Because the Browns? They're not just fielding trade calls. They're dealing with a slow-boil identity crisis. You've got the front office, still patting itself on the back for drafting Shedeur, now quietly freaking out as his fame grows faster than their ability to manage it. You've got coaching staff who signed up to develop a quarterback, not babysit a media sensation with a sneaker line. And you've got ownership absolutely drooling over the financial possibilities but unwilling to admit they may not be the best home for a star this bright. Internally, it's starting to split. Some say keep him, build around him, and ride this thing out. Others say the circus is already too big, and if a team like Dallas is offering multiple first-round picks, veteran depth, and the ability to quietly offload the pressure, maybe it's worth considering. Especially when your locker room is already starting to fracture. Because yeah, players talk. Some love Shedeur's swagger. Others hate it. Some see a leader. Others see a brand-first mentality. Fair or not, perception is reality in the NFL. And when your rookie has a bigger media footprint than your entire franchise combined, that locker room tension gets real. Add in a couple tough losses, maybe an injury scare, and suddenly what was unthinkable becomes strategic. And here's the secret truth the Browns don't want to say out loud. They might not be able to keep him happy long-term. Because Shedeur's career arc doesn't look like your typical Browns quarterback. This isn't 3 years of learning the system and developing chemistry. This is acceleration. This is leverage. This is a guy who walked into the league as a business, and business is booming. You think he's going to stay silent forever while other teams whisper promises of empire building under brighter lights? You think he's not tempted? And now, we reach the inflection point. If Jerry Jones pulls this off, he doesn't just get a quarterback. He gets a movement. He gets the chance to redefine the Cowboys for a new generation. To prove once and for all that he's not just some aging oil baron clinging to past glory, but a visionary who saw the future before the rest of the league could spell NL. It would be the defining move of Jerry's career. But it would also set a precedent the NFL isn't ready for. If Shedeur gets traded after one season, on a rookie deal under massive public speculation with brand value baked into the decision, you think other players won't follow? This isn't a fluke. This is the beginning of player mobility 2.0. A world where draft picks mean less than marketing metrics. Where a rookie can outvalue a Super Bowl MVP based on cultural pull. Where owners like Jerry buy the future one endorsement at a time. And that shakes the whole damn league. So what happens now? Maybe the Browns hold firm. Maybe they silence the rumors and say, he's our guy, full stop. Maybe they throw the bag at him early, restructure everything, and build the whole damn city around him. Or maybe, just maybe, the right package comes along. Too many picks, too much talent, too much upside to say no. And in the quiet hours before the draft, a deal gets made. One press release. One headline. Shedeur Sanders traded to the Dallas Cowboys. Can you imagine the fallout? Social media would implode. Dak would be done. Jersey sales would skyrocket. ESPN would do an emergency rebrand. Sports talk radio would never recover. And Jerry Jones? He'd be laughing all the way to the playoffs. So let's throw out the fake award of the day, most likely to cause a league-wide identity crisis. Congratulations, Jerry. You're officially back in your villain era. And Shedeur? If he lands in Dallas, he's not just playing for a franchise. He's leading a revolution. Let's be crystal clear. If this trade goes down, if Shedeur Sanders becomes the next quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, this won't just be one of the biggest moves in NFL history. It'll be the beginning of a new era. We're not exaggerating. We're not reaching for hot takes. We're telling you straight up this would change everything: how players are evaluated, how franchises are built, and how the NFL measures value. No longer just by arm strength or passer rating, but by cultural influence, social capital, and brand power. Because this isn't just about football anymore. And it hasn't been for a while. What Jerry Jones sees in Shedeur isn't just a cannon arm or slick pocket presence. He sees the future. He sees someone who can win games and press conferences in the same breath. Someone who can light up the scoreboard on Sunday and headline a Nike campaign on Monday. It's dynasty thinking. Just chess, not checkdowns. And maybe that's what makes it all so surreal. That this kid, this 22-year-old fifth-round pick from Jackson State, is the one holding the league hostage with his potential. But that's what happens when you walk into the NFL with a camera crew, a signature shoe in development, and a brand that grows faster than your stat sheet. You stop being just a player. You become a symbol. A symbol of what the next generation of athletes looks like. Empowered, media-savvy, business-first. The old-school helmet-on, head-down model? That era is closing. Fast. Shedeur Sanders is living proof. And Jerry? Jerry is betting the ranch on it. But before you assume this is just another owner midlife crisis buying a Ferrari situation, let's remember, Jerry Jones is many things, but impulsive ain't one of them. Calculated? Always. Extra. Every day. But he's not dumb. He's not trying to make a splash just to trend for 48 hours. He wants a legacy piece. He wants his guy. A new face of the franchise. Someone who makes the Cowboys cool again, not just competitive. Because let's be honest, the Cowboys have been stuck in this weird limbo for years. Always good enough to get attention, never great enough to deliver rings. Stacked with talent, thin on soul. And no matter how many blue-chip defenders or high-powered receivers they've signed, they've lacked that one thing that elevates a team from playoff threat to cultural obsession. Quarterback charisma. Think about it. When was the last time a Cowboys QB owned the NFL spotlight? Dak had his moments. Romo had a few fourth-quarter thrills. But Shedeur? He doesn't just step into the spotlight, he builds his own. Then he films a docuseries inside of it, signs a licensing deal, and sells you the merch before the credits roll. That's what makes him different. And that's what Jerry wants. But let's talk about the actual trade here. Because we all know it's not as simple as, make a call, sign the papers, boom, welcome to Dallas. This would be the kind of trade that rewires front offices. The kind that ends jobs. That tests the patience of fan bases and the legal elasticity of the NFL's entire rulebook. Reports say we're looking at multiple first-round picks. That's the floor. Possibly 3. Possibly some current starters. Maybe even a young receiver with upside. It would be an earthquake package. One that most owners wouldn't even entertain. But Jerry? He lives for this. He doesn't just want to win. He wants to be remembered. The man built a palace, branded it as a stadium, and made sure every NFL camera had to pan over it twice a week. You think he's not going to go nuclear for a player whose face could be the next chapter in the Cowboys' mythology? But what about Cleveland? Let's not forget, they've got a wild card of their own, ego. Nobody wants to be remembered as the team that let go of a generational player too soon. Nobody wants to be the new, drafted Kevin Durant and picked Greg Oden instead meme. Letting Shedeur walk, even for a monster trade, would haunt them forever if he blows up in Dallas. But here's the brutal truth they might be whispering behind closed doors. What if we're not built for this? Because developing a quarterback is hard enough. Doing it while managing the biggest brand-to-rookie pipeline in league history? That's a whole other level of chaos. Cleveland's a football town. Grit, defense, cold-weather grind. They're not exactly prepped for front-row seats at the influencer-athlete economy. And Shedeur, whether he wants it or not, has outgrown the rookie sandbox. He's already operating like a seasoned pro with a Fortune 500 media team behind him. The question is, does Cleveland want to keep being the training ground, or do they cash out early and reset? Because guess what? Shedeur doesn't need the Browns to succeed. But the Browns need Shedeur to stay relevant. And that right there? That's power. And that power is what Jerry wants to harness. Because in Dallas, they'll give him the world. Custom facilities. Primetime guarantees. National marketing rollouts. Hell, Jerry might build him a tower inside AT&T Stadium with a golden S on the side. And while we're being dramatic, which, let's be honest, we always are, let's talk about what this would mean for the rest of the league. Chaos. Total chaos. Because if this trade goes through, every young star with social presence and a brand portfolio is going to start questioning their role. Players are going to ask for equity in jersey sales. They're going to want guarantees on brand development. They'll hire teams, not just agents, to build their off-field empires. And teams? They'll either adapt or get left behind. We'll start seeing contract clauses that sound more like influencer deals. Bonuses tied to TikTok growth. Apparel partnerships negotiated before playbooks are even opened. The NFL will have to reckon with something they've always tried to suppress: the idea that players can be more than just employees. And if you think that makes league officials nervous, well, they're already sweating. Because this isn't just a trade rumor anymore. It's a precedent waiting to happen. And once it does, there's no going back. So now we wait. The phones are ringing. The executives are pacing. The lawyers are probably on speed dial. And somewhere in Dallas, Jerry Jones is leaning back in his leather chair, watching the storm build. And maybe, just maybe, smiling. Because in a league obsessed with control, tradition, and structure, Shedeur Sanders is the glitch in the matrix. And Jerry? He's about to hit execute. So you tell us, should Cleveland roll the dice and keep the star they stumbled into? Or should they take the King's ransom and let the Cowboys build their next dynasty? Drop your opinion in the comments. Get loud. Get messy. This is the kind of sports drama we live for. And don't forget to subscribe, because if this deal actually happens, you're gonna need the popcorn. The league will never be the same again. This isn't just a trade. This is a power shift. And the NFL is one signature away from its boldest plot twist yet.